My name is Krista Scruggs, the granddaughter of Calvin Scruggs, the daughter of Calvin Scruggs, daughter of Tina Cooks, and granddaughter of Shirley Purdue Cooks. My mere existence is a form of resistance. As a queer Black woman in America, literally just trying to have something that my ancestors built that was taken from us. It shouldn't be so difficult, but it is. Everything I do is in honor of them and my grandparents and my mother and my father and my nieces and nephews and other young Black girls and boys and thems and theys who actually don't even think it's possible. But I take pride in my Blackness, and I take pride in every stride that I take to claim what is mine and what is ours.
"2017 is
The first vintage.
the first vintage."
Yeah.
Tell me about Junot Diaz.
Junot Diaz was on Krista Tippett on Being, talking about, zafa means counterspell, and Fuku is a spell. As, Juno tells in the story, that's the curse that Christopher Columbus brought over to Americas, and through colonialism, and which all of us are affected. All of us are born to the role of Fuku, and the only way to overcome a Fuku is with a zafa. My zafa, my counterspell of this is everything that literally what I'm doing right now. My pursuit for land ownership, my pursuit for equity, my pursuit to take back what is ours is my counterspell to all of this. And then it hit me, and that's, I named my company Zafa, because it's more than just me. We all are in pursuit of our own Zafa. And for me, it's winemaking and farming. For you, through your journalism. So my purpose is, everything I do is to work against colonialism in this country and to find my happiness and joy.
Every time I see someone Black doing something dope, it's like, oh, the first Black person or one of the only Black people. And now I kind of get a rage. It's like, let's be proud and let's celebrate who you are, but also let's not act like that's the only reason you're here. Like, let's not forget the genius.
I'm a small business, and this is, all of a sudden all these, publications have an interest in talking to me. None of the questions really were about my wine at all about my identities.
And it's not unusual for you to be a winemaker or for Black people to be farmers. This is our ancestry.
That's what really got me, is like, oh my God, there's a Black farmer in Vermont. Well, where do you think this comes from? What do you think is in my DNA? How do you think this country is built? Why are you as a publication so proud? You should be ashamed that we're at this point right now, after 400 years, that we're still here, that we're still having first, because we have been deprived of those opportunities. Now, that's something you should be proud about at all.
Tell me about your grandfather. And you have on your work shirt, and I wore one in your grandfather's honor.
Yeah.
Tell me about your grandfather and growing up and what you learned from him as a farmer in Fresno.
Our connection to our ancestors, even our grandfathers, great grandfathers, that's all we have is verbal. His mother, my great grandfather, picked cotton, and that he was working in the field his whole life, and then he was able to explain to me why we were out there doing. It wasn't just like that's being dropped off. There was something about us being out there with him and helping and working on his homestead that there's something to take from it.
You're telling the story, and I'm thinking you were working the land and growing the land with your grandfather, and he was growing you.
And also taking pride that he had those few acres, taking pride that we get to grow, we go outside and grow your own food.
And growing your own food on your own land, as your grandfather did, is such an act of resistance in a country that brought us here to grow their land and then stripped us of properties.
Exactly.
Or of cultivating things for ourselves. As I, look to how your story is told sometimes, it's like, oh, and, now she's in Vermont. And I'm like, let's talk about why Krista is in Vermont. Let's talk about gentrification and climate change and how inequities create incredible disparity in who gets access to lands. And in a place like California,
when I was in Europe working and seeing, everyone I was working for, like that land was in their family for years and years, generations. And, looking at myself and my family, like outside my grandfather, I don't even know what that looks like. It was going to be, I was going to continue to work on someone else's land or, or leasing. And there was financially, that was not going to be possible in California. And that hit me very, very hard before I came back home. And an opportunity presented itself for me to come out here to work, to learn from someone here. And then while here, looking around and like start to understand, what the potential could be. It was the easiest decision in my, like, this is it. This is where I didn't know how long it was going to take, but I knew that it was going to happen in Vermont, where I saw it was impossible. And I don't think many things are impossible. I'm now in number 18 of Vermont Black farmers out of 7,000. These are demijohns, or demijohna. They're glass fermentation vessels, drums, totes. When starting, I did all of my fermentation in glass. With our growth and expansion, I went from 400 cases to we're going to be around 1,500 cases between wine and cider. And when there's still stuff in 2019 that still hasn't been released, that's aging, doing everything. We're now still bringing in fruit. We're bringing in the grapes, so we're bringing in about 750 cases worth of cider is going to be coming in that we'll be processing.
We're doing everything right there by hand.
Oh my
so
gosh, I love that.
We'll bring like a barrel out or something here, and then it just goes into a hose right there, and then someone's standing there bottling it, someone's standing beside them capping it, someone's standing beside them cleaning the bottle, someone's standing beside them and put it into a case, and then labeling it all by hand as well. The labeling machine is just right there, one bottle at a time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you can see
Teamwork
it.
makes the dream work.
We did it! I've been lucky to be surrounded by people who the very, very few people get an insight of what's happening, who see this for really what it is. And this is not for the faint. I think it's worth it. I have been given an opportunity of a lifetime. Not many people who that look like me and you have been given this opportunity to hold this space and then thus create space and a path where people after me won't have to go through even what I'm feeling right now. Because it's not just the work of it all, it's about I'm still a Black woman in America.
Here we are, 2020, several months into a pandemic and the next chapter of the revolution, and I am sitting on your porch, Al Lamont, the 56 acres of land that is yours.
I got 16 plus our 40 acres that we're owed. We're in the middle of harvest. Well, we just wrapped up grape harvest and finished up apple harvest, and we closed in the beginning of September, and then we planted 2,000 vines 2 days later, because I was, people didn't think that, we were planting so late, and talk about climate change. It all worked. I knew the soil. I studied the soil for 9 months. I knew this is not an arbitrary, like I set my mind, set my intentions, and I'm like, by any means necessary, this is what I want. And like, particularly on this island, particularly on this land, someone up there, like my grandpa, like was helping me also prove a point that, for anyone that doubts, what I'm doing, why I'm doing what I'm doing, even my knowledge of what I'm doing, what I'm doing. And sorry, like, it's crazy to sit here and like, I did it.
It's beautiful. You did it. I'm very proud of you. Your team literally operates like a tiny family. You cook dinner. You harvest hard, you ferment hard, but you also love each other really hard. Part of it is, I just wholeheartedly believe, is like Black girl magic plus work.
Yeah.
Very much Black girl work too.
And that energy transmit, that energy, we don't have that energy and that love, that does transmit into the fermentation. Fermentation is a living thing. People don't realize that those grapes that are starting to ferment, that is literally living. And energy moves. So our energy, how, whoever's in the cellar at that day or harvesting the grapes, our energy is transmitted into that fruit that's what then turn into a bottle of wine that you're consuming. And so that's the beauty of it too. It's like you're also drinking our energy. You're that zafa, that love that we built within this team, that is being consumed by you too when you drink a bottle of our wine.
And so many of them have said to me, yeah, I just kind of emailed Krista and asked her, could she give me a chance or could I learn from Krista?
Because that's what I did. I see myself in all of them. I literally did that. I was sending emails. I was asking, just give me a chance, give me a chance. First of all, what we're doing is intimate. We literally are growing together. We're really, literally growing, fruits and vegetables, and we're creating something together through the wines.
I never want your story to be defined by identity alone, because it's clear why you're here and it's more than that. But something that does happen at the same time, people will make a spectacle of your identity. They'll erase parts of it.
Right.
And we've seen it with James Baldwin. It's like James Baldwin's a great Black writer, but we never want to talk about James Baldwin as a Black queer man.
Exactly. I was lucky to grow up, in a household, with a mother, her phrase is like, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So like you speak up and you be proud of who you are and don't hide that. And, I'm really, really lucky, honestly, to have that. And it's something that I want, to make her proud too, that I'm not ashamed of who I am, to say it out loud. And it was across a public stage. And I hope that inspires someone else to do the same. Yesterday, how much you guys do? 1,200. So there's about 27. There's almost, you guys are probably going to be at the end of it around almost a ton and a half of whites. So we're hitting our numbers. Like I predicted we're going to be 7 to 10 tons for the whole vineyard, and we're hitting, this is a big deal. Yeah. So I just wanted to farm and make wine. It's like, I just wanted to be a simple farmer and winemaker. I tell my team this all the time, I'm just a petty farmer and winemaker, and they laugh at me because we all know this has come beyond that. I'm so blessed. Like there's the hard parts, but like also I'm like, what a life. What a freaking life that's created, and I'm just getting started. This is 10 years to get to the point that we're sitting on 56 acres that, come, next year you will come out here and we have an event and, we get to clink glasses together. And that's something that is remarkable to me. I feel very lucky when I allow myself to, take a pause and breathe and exhale, but I wouldn't change it for anything at all.